Aloha everyone, my name is Rachel Short, and for those of you that don't know me, I am in the process of becoming a rabbi. And the reason I am doing this is I want to reconnect to the truth of the Jewish culture, the oneness and the unity that it is all based in, the idea that we are all one people, not just Jews, Muslims, Christians, whatever, but really the fact that we're all one. And I woke up this morning really called to share my D'var Torah, my sermon from Rabbinical school this week with all of you. I've never done anything like this before, so here goes nothing. An eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind, and it takes more strength to have faith and be kind. I've been meditating on these words the past few days, really processing this idea of love versus fear. With everything currently happening in our world, it's really easy to give in to fear. It's actually much easier to believe that fear is greater than love. But just like I said in my yoga class yesterday morning, the Beatles didn't sing "All You Need Is Fear." This has been my personal practice this week, exploring this idea of fear, this idea of freedom, this idea that love really is all you need. What would it be like if we lived in a world where love really was greater than fear? If we approached situations with open hearts and quiet minds the way our ancestors did? If we truly abandoned all fear, the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, even the fear of death? Death is a stripping away of all that is not you. The secret of life is to die before you die and find that there is no death. These words by Eckhart Tolle have impacted my life greatly. As divine timing would have it, of course this week's Torah portion just manages to tie in perfectly to this idea of love versus fear and awakening to the concept that maybe this all really is just a dream. In this week's Torah portion, Jacob leaves his hometown of Beersheba and journeys to Haran, a man leaving his home and looking for refuge. Does that seem to remind you of anything? On his way to find shelter, Jacob dreams of a ladder connecting heaven and earth, with angels climbing and descending upon it. God appears and promises that the land upon which he lies will be given to his descendants. Jacob marries Rachel and Leah, makes a pact with Laban, Rachel and Leah's father, attested by a pile of stones, and Jacob proceeds to the Holy Land, where he is met by angels. What if I told you that just like the Rainbow Bridge, Jacob's ladder was something well within our reach? What if I told you that you could communicate with angels? What if I told you that angels were trying to communicate with you? What if I told you that angels and God still communicate with you the exact same way they did Jacob? Because they do. I don't believe in accidents or coincidence. I truly believe everything happens for a reason. When we become aware of synchronistic events in our lives, these synchronicities always seem to increase. When we become aware that our angels and our spirit guides are trying to communicate with us, their communication with us increases, because they realize we're open to receiving. For some reason, we don't think the way our ancestors did. We don't think the way Jacob did. For some reason, we've been taught to believe that these occurrences are things that only happened in the past, and these stories of people communicating with angels and God are just that, stories. We seem to have almost completely disconnected from our spiritual realm in favor of the belief that reality is what's real. I have news for you. Reality isn't real, and it's all really just a dream, so you might as well make the best of it. This idea of heaven on earth isn't just an idea. Jacob was on to something. We are connected to whatever is below and whatever is above. Our angels still try and communicate with us, but sadly, many are too scared to open themselves up to this idea that God, angels, spirit guides, or any being outside of the physical realm are trying to communicate with them. Why? Fear. Of course, it all comes back to fear. Ever since I began sharing Reiki, I started calling upon my angels and spirit guides to help guide and protect me, calling on them to assist me whenever I need to. I call on them to help manifest my divine purpose, to live a life of love, fulfilling my highest self. I communicate with them via meditation. I utilize the support of crystals and essential oils to help facilitate this process, and I know that my angels communicate with me. They come to me in dreams. I see them throughout my day. I know they're there. How do I know they're there, though? We live in a world where everything is so black and white, where it's very easy to miss the fact that something that seems as coincidental as looking at the clock at a certain time is actually God or angels trying to communicate with you. Whether it be seeing a rainbow, finding a white feather or a coin, seeing repeating numbers on a clock or a license plate, these are all ways that angels and God still communicate with us now, just in a different way. Once we become aware of this, these occurrences just seem to multiply. My inner conflict this week has been, is love really greater than fear? In a world where people are blowing themselves up every minute, I'm getting emails from my family fearing I'll be raped if Hawaii welcomes refugees. How could I not be afraid? But isn't that just what those guys want? Our fear? It all comes back to fear. And I have news for you. I'm not willing to sacrifice any more freedom out of fear. I'm not willing to give any more energy to believing that fear is greater than love. I truly believe that love is all you need. That love is the essence of life, the universe, and everything. Call me naive, call me stupid, but love usually seems to play out the best for everyone involved, and I feel free. Don Miguel Ruiz, another one of my favorite authors, says, "Who stops us from being free? We blame the government, we blame the weather, we blame our parents, we blame religion, we blame God. Who really stops us from being free? We stop ourselves." We all know people who are victims of fear and don't even realize it. At the end of the day, it isn't strange to be afraid to die, but not being afraid to die leads one to heaven on earth. Why? Because you realize heaven's already here. You realize Jacob's ladder is there for you to climb and meet your angels. All you have to do is look through eyes of love. When we look back at history, it isn't the people who acted out of fear we remember. Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, John Lennon, Martin Luther King Jr., personal heroes of mine who all stood for and truly acted out of love. They didn't just talk about it, they did it. Their actions showed that they truly believed love was greater than fear, and they created profound change and had enormous impact. They feared nothing, even death. It's actually much more difficult to act out of love than it is fear. It's actually really easy to fight back. Think about it. If someone's yelling at you, it's much easier to yell or fight back than it is to sit there with a smile on your face and truly send them love, especially if they're being violent. It's actually much more difficult to practice ahimsa, nonviolence, and stand in peace and love. An eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind, and it takes more strength to have faith and be kind. It's abundantly clear that things are changing, but I believe the change we are seeing is not just a physical one, but a spiritual. Those who awaken to the spiritual realm recognize the shift that faces us at this time. It is not a shift on the material plane, but a shift in consciousness. We are being given the opportunity to climb Jacob's ladder. We are being given an opportunity to clean up our mess. We are being given an opportunity to act out of faith. We are being given the opportunity to act out of love. Which one will you choose? Fear or love? Mahalo. Namaste.